Hello and welcome to the Sarah Seams podcast. My name is Sarah and this channel is where I share all about my crafty projects. It's mostly knitting. I think today it's all knitting, which has been the case for a while. I've definitely been really focused on knitting lately, so I'm excited to share all of that with you today. Today we'll be going over everything I've been working on for the month of June. Can't believe it's the end of June already. So yeah, I have a really exciting couple of announcements and then we'll get right into the content. So I wanted to start out by talking about my knit along. So I'm currently hosting my first ever knit along, and I have my notes over here to make sure I don't forget anything if you see me looking over. I post a regular podcast episode like this once a month, and then on every Friday in between, I post a shorter video. I call them Friday Fiber Chats. And this month they were all focused on the knit along. So the first one was announcing the knit along, which is the Scrappy Summer Sock Along. And then the second video was a pattern roundup. So I shared 30 Scrappy sock patterns that you could knit for the knit along. So many fun ideas there. I think a lot of people also commented with Scrappy patterns that they love. So that video is a great resource. And then most recently, I shared my personal knitting plans for the knit along, what Scrappy socks I'm going to be making this summer. If you are interested, you can take a look at that. But just to give a quick recap of the make along, since I have gone into so much detail in those other videos, if you're interested and this is the first you're hearing of it, I would definitely refer you to the launch video, and all of these videos will be linked below in the description box. But basically, the idea is just to knit Scrappy socks this summer. So anytime between now and September 22nd, if you finish a pair of Scrappy socks, you can be entered to win. And all you have to do to enter is submit a photo of your finished socks to my Google form, which will also be linked in the video description box below this video. And it's also linked in my Instagram bio. So all you have to do to enter is submit your photo. If you'd also like to share progress on Instagram, you're welcome to do so. I encourage it. I would love to see your progress, but that's not required to enter the giveaway. But if you would like to share, please use the hashtag Scrappy Summer Sock Along 2025. It's a bit of a mouthful, so I will put it on the screen here. I have 3 amazing prize packages. Again, I would refer you to the other videos to see all the details about that. But basically, you will get an amazing handmade Scrappy project bag, a skein of yarn, a pair of scissors, a measuring tape, and a set of stitch markers. So I have 3 of those packages. We'll be doing one giveaway drawing at the end of each month. So the first one will be around the end of July. But I do have an exciting announcement regarding those. So the stitch markers, the gorgeous stitch markers that are part of the giveaway were made by my sister, who works for a jewelry company called Red Giraffe Designs based here in Columbus. And they just do a lot of really fun custom jewelry. So they were able to make these really cute charm stitch marker sets for us. And while I will be giving these away as part of the giveaway, some people reached out and asked if they were available for sale. So I'm excited to announce that they are now available on the Red Giraffe Designs website. So I will also link that below, and I just wanted to show them to you in person so you could see how gorgeous they are. So the first set we have as part of the giveaway is the nautical set. So you get 5 stitch markers. They're on rings that open, and you can see here we've got like a little sailor's wheel, a ship wheel, a turtle, seahorse, anchor, and starfish. So this is the nautical set. Second, and maybe my favorite, is I was calling them Tutti Frutti, but they're like little fruits. So you've got a strawberry, a blackberry, an apple, a peach, and a banana. And these ones are really, really cute with the enamel. And then the last one that's part of the giveaway is this little like floral kind of nature inspired set that has a very cute little snail, a flower, butterfly, another little flower, and then the little frog, who I think is so cute. So I just wanted to share those with you. If you're interested and you don't want to wait for the giveaway, you can now purchase those on the Red Giraffe Designs website, which is really cool. So again, I will have that linked below. And they did also add one other set on the website that is not part of the giveaway that I'm gonna have to buy because I'm obsessed. I can put a picture. This is their garden party set, and it's got like a little cat and a rose and a functional locket. I'm like, how cute would that be to have a locket stitch marker with a little photo in it? So go check them out if you're interested. I think you know, they're a jewelry company, so this is a little outside of the scope of what they normally do, but I think it's awesome that they were willing to like add these to their site for all the crafters out there. So if you're interested, definitely go check them out. Okay, a couple other things around the knit along, and then I promise we'll get into the knitting content. I also had a designer reach out and want to donate their pattern. So thank you to Austin Taylor, who reached out to donate his pattern, the altered mitered socks. So I'll put a picture of those here. They're really cool. They use like little mitered squares that are stitched together to make that detail around the cuff. And then there's some other interesting like textural details on the leg. So the winners will also receive a copy of this pattern. And for anyone else who might be interested in the pattern, Austin is giving a discount. So if you're interested in this pattern, which I will have linked below as well, you can use the discount code SCRAPSOCK10, which I'll put on the screen, to get 10% off of this really fun scrappy pattern. So thank you, Austin. It was really nice of you to reach out and offer to donate your pattern. And last but not least, I am considering hosting a virtual knit night as part of the knit along. So I would love to hear if any of you would be interested in attending something like that. It would probably be hosted on Zoom. And I think we would just introduce ourselves, talk about the scrappy socks that we're knitting, and chat all about knitting. So let me know if you'd be interested in that. I'm thinking if we host it, it'll probably be around early August, and possibly I would try to do it on a weekend so that people in different time zones could hopefully participate as well. So yeah, let me know what you think about that idea. I've never done anything like that before, but I received an ask for it on Instagram, so I would definitely be open to trying. And yeah, I'm eager to hear what you all think. So that's all the knit along chatter. Get all the admin out of the way. Tiny last admin I always forget is that if you are interested in following along with my crafting journey, you can follow me on Instagram at Sarah_Seams or on Ravelry at Sarah Ripple. That info is also in the description box. Whew. Okay, that was a lot of admin. Let's get to the knitting, shall we? So I'm gonna start with what I'm wearing, which is my first finished object. This is the Winnie top by Lily Kate France. I recently test knit this and I love it so much. So let me stand up and show it to you. So I've worn it a couple times since I finished it, so it is a little bit wrinkly, but as you can see, it's a slightly drop shoulder tank top. It has this beautiful lace, knit lace edging around the neckline, around the armhole, and around the bottom hem as well. I knit mine in black, so it's a little bit harder to see, but that makes it extremely wearable. So yeah, it's the yarn I used is Knit Picks Gloss Fingering Weight. The color is black. And I just think the detail is so nicely executed. This was a little bit fiddly to knit, I will be honest with you. So basically you pick up stitches around the neckline and then break your yarn. And then you knit the lace edging separately and then you apply it with a 3-needle bind off. And that technique is used on every edge where the lace edging is. And it definitely was a little bit fiddly. I think it looks beautiful. I think it looks so clean and lovely. Would I knit another one? I don't know. I did find that process a little bit tedious, but I'm so glad that I knit this one. I think the depth of the V-neck is perfect for me. I definitely think on some people, they might find it a little bit deep, but I don't have a lot of cleavage going on, so that's not really an issue for me. I really like the sleeve. The back, as you can see, just has kind of a standard higher neck. There is also a little detail at the side seam, which is really lovely, that kind of mimics that lace. And yeah, I really like it. The yarn, I will say, as you can see, it does crease. So as I'm like sitting throughout the day, it does kind of develop some wrinkles, but that's probably the silk content. This yarn is 70% merino, 30% silk. So it does develop some wrinkles, but it's so nice to wear. I was a little worried it would be too warm for more of a summer garment, but I'm finding it really lovely. And I've only had this finished for a couple of weeks and I've already worn it multiple times. So really, really pleased. I could see knitting another one in a while. I think I just needed a little break because I also messed up my neckline the first time and had to redo it. So really I had even an extra bit of that edging to do, but I think it looks really beautiful and I couldn't recommend the pattern enough. It's one of the best fitting garments I've ever made. The amount of detail that Lily Kate pays to the shaping in the top of this garment is just like exquisite. Like it fits so well. And for a fingering weight garment, I think it knit up fairly quickly. You know, obviously there's no sleeves, but the gauge is just open enough that it works up quickly, but not so open that it's like see-through. The one change I did make was I shortened the body by about 1.5 inches from what the pattern recommended, and I omitted the body decreases. So it is supposed to have a slightly tapered body, and I omitted those decreases, just personal preference. I know that I prefer my knits to be a little bit more boxy. So yeah, that's my Winnie top. The pattern is out now. If you're interested, I really recommend it. I think it's a beautiful, really versatile top. I think I'll be able to wear this all summer, but I can see myself layering this under jackets or, you know, anything like with a long sleeve shirt under it in the winter, fall and winter. So really happy to have this piece in my wardrobe. I made the size 5 also. All right, next up is the Harlow Flip. So this was Andrea Mallory's spring knit along challenge this year. I did not finish it in the time frame, but I have since finished it and I think it's really, really pretty. So I don't, who am I knitting with all this black lately? But this, I used Hairsville Nightshades in the color Static, which has a slight like white speckle in it. And then I used Spin Cycle. I cannot remember the color name. It might have been Syringa or something like that, but it's like shades of purple and gray and black and blue. And I think this turned out really nicely. I ended up not blocking it because I just didn't feel like it really needed it. With the brioche, I was a little bit worried about it growing. But yeah, so this was a kind of a reimagining of the original Harlow worsted, which she did change the crown shaping, so it is more truly reversible now than the original. And then you use syncopated brioche, which is where you just change which is the A and the B color here, so that when you fold up the brim, it matches. And then that does make the hat truly reversible as well. So this is what the inside looks like, and then when you fold up the brim of the inside, it matches. So this is the other side of mine where you can really see that fun spin cycle changing through the colors. I think both sides are really pretty. As you can see, the crown decreases are really nice on this side as well. I think I'll probably tend to wear it more with the black side out, but I do think both sides are really, really pretty. And yeah, I didn't really have anyone specific in mind when I made this. I will probably end up keeping it for now, or I've been toying with the idea of taking a big box of like winter like hats and scarves and stuff like that to work, like extra stuff I don't really wear, and just kind of seeing if anybody wants to take anything. So this might go in there, but it was a really fun knit. I will probably knit more of these. I really enjoy knitting this hat. So yeah, that is my Harlow Flip. And I think I did the adult small. Yeah. All right, next I have 3 pairs of socks. So first up, I'm gonna have to show you a photo of these because I no longer have them in my possession, but I am going to be teaching some knitting classes starting in August at a local store called So to Speak, which I'm so excited about. I love the shop. They asked if I would be interested in teaching sock knitting and colorwork knitting, which are 2 things that I love. So I am going to be doing that and I cannot wait. If you're in the area and you're interested in a class, feel free to reach out or check it out on their website. I can also link that below. But yeah, my first class is going to be Sock Knitting 101, truly for not beginner knitters, but for people that have knit a few projects and they want to learn how to knit socks. We're going to be doing a top-down DK weight sock with a heel flap and gusset. And I did finish my sample for the shop, so I'll put a picture of that in here. They're just really basic, classic DK socks. I did actually publish the pattern. I wrote the pattern for these and I did publish it on Ravelry, so that is also available. I can link that below as well. Yeah, it somehow got in like the Ravelry hot right now, and I was very surprised. I didn't like say anything about it. I just kind of quietly put it on Ravelry, but it is a free DK weight sock pattern. If you are looking for such a thing, it is available. But really in the class, we're going to go through the entire process together. If you want someone to show you, kind of hold your hand through the process, that's what the class is going to be for. So the yarn is Gorgeous Farmer's Daughter Fibers Juicy DK. It's 100% merino, and the color is, let's see, what is the color? Boyland. So I think this was probably a collaboration color with Caitlin Hunter, if I had to guess, of Boyland Knitworks. But yeah, I've turned these into the shop, so I no longer have them in my possession, but they're really quick and fun to knit. And I did go ahead and make the tiny version. So this year I'm knitting a miniature version of every pair of socks that I knit, so that around the holidays I can kind of string them onto a garland. So here's the mini one. I loosely am using Summer Lee's tiny tree sock pattern. I did have to adapt it for the DK weight versions, but I just kind of figured out the math for how to do that. So there's the tiny one, and yeah, I'm really excited for the class. Can't wait to start teaching people how to knit socks, one of my favorite things. Okay, next up, I finished my first couple pairs of socks for the Scrappy Summer Sock Along. So obviously I'm not eligible for prizes or anything, but I just want to participate and share Scrappy socks with you all. So the first pair I cast on, the first new pair I cast on for the knit along, were a pair of D20 socks. I've talked about these a lot before, but basically you take like a 20-sided die and you assign numbers to your 20 different colors or however many you want to use. Roll the die to pick a number and then roll it again to pick the amount of rows that you're going to knit. So what that results in are some really crazy, funky, stripy socks, which I just love the look of these. So this pair is for my partner, Troy. There are 60 stitches. He prefers a pretty tight fitting sock. And I think this was the first one I knit. So you can see I had a really fun palette of like cool colors with some pops of neon yellow and green. And yeah, you can see like I rolled and got the green color and knit like 7 or 8 rolls. And then we had, rows. And then I had navy, and then we had like 20 rows of this black and white speckle, and so on and so forth. I even included some Tweety yarns, which I think can look really cute. And for the first time, I tried these with an afterthought heel. Usually I have done a heel flapping gusset, but I think the afterthought heel lends itself a little bit better to that row, like X amount of rows kind of knitting. Because with the heel flapping gusset, it gets a little tricky when you're going back and forth in those shorter rows. So whereas like here, we just got this fun kind of bullseye heel. So yeah, I think they're really successful. This was the first one. This was the second one. And you always kind of run the risk of them like being totally different to the point that they don't even look like they go together. But I think in this case, there are enough shared colors that they do look like a set. So like, you know, we got this black and white, both on the leg, both heels somehow ended up with the neon yellow. And then there's like this bright blue and some of the grays and greens. So yeah, I think they're really fun. I mean, they're definitely crazy, but they're one of my favorite things to knit. They're just so fun. And then for the tiny version, I also did the D20 method. Look at it. It's so cute. So for this one, I limited the number of rows to 8. So the maximum amount of rows I could have was 8 instead of 20, because obviously there's not that many rows in this. But yeah, I think it's so adorable. So that one was really fun. Okay, last pair of finished socks. I'm also considering Scrappy because the main color was a new skein, but a lot of the little pop colors were scraps. And the criteria for the Scrappy Summer Sock Along is just that you use at least 1 scrap in your project. So technically these qualify. And these are the June Colorwork Cuff Club socks by Summer Lee. This was a really fun kind of geometric chart, and it was a pretty long chart. So let me show you my finished pair. Here they are. Really fun colors, very like bright and summery, just what I wanted to be knitting this month. So the main color is so beautiful. This is Gyupta by La Bien-Aimée on their sock base. And it's just this pastel pink and mint, but all these fun little speckles. And then when I was choosing my pop colors, I really tried to choose colors that I saw in the speckles to kind of help pull them out, and I think that that was pretty successful. There's something about like the pink and purple and teal that kind of gives like 90s Taco Bell in a funny way, but I think that they're really pretty. It was a very fun, easy to knit chart. I especially love this center motif here in the pink. Yeah, so I really love how they turned out. These ones are for me, hanging on to these ones, but I really love them. I'm eager to see what the next Colorwork Cuff Club chart is going to be, and that's the last one. It's been a whole year already, which is hard to believe. And I'm eager to see what Summer's going to do next. I think she's probably going to announce soon if she's going to do another like yearly club like this, but we'll see. And here's the tiny version. I didn't mess with Colorwork or anything. I just knit it in that really pretty La Bien-Aimée color, which at this scale looks a little bit more stripy, but yeah, really cute. I apologize for my voice. I am still getting over a little bit of a cold and I don't sound the best, so please bear with. Okay, and lastly, I have a really big finished object. It was definitely not seasonally appropriate, but I finished this and I kind of got the urge to work on one of my big woolly sweaters. So I picked back up the Miles shirt jacket, which I'm knitting in a combination of Nutiden and Plotulopi. Excuse me, there's that cold. And I finished it. So I think what happened was, let me just show you and then I'll explain. So let me put in a video of me wearing it because it's so large, it's gonna be kind of hard to show you by holding it up. But as you can see, the top is this kind of blue, gray, steely color. And that was the Nutiden that I had to start with. And then I ran out of yarn. I actually was able to finish the sleeves and I had like 4 inches of yarn left. Like that's how close it was. And then I knew I was gonna have to color block. So I ordered Plotulopi in this dark, I think it was called Black Sheep Heather. It's almost black, but it has a bit of a white heathering to knit the rest of it. And I really love how the color block turned out. I think it looks very cute. But I was also playing Yarn Chicken with the new color. I ordered 2 plates and they were smaller than I expected. So I've only ever used Nutiden when it comes to unspun, and the Plotulopi plates are definitely smaller than the Nutiden plates. So when I ordered them, it wasn't quite as much as I expected. So I was kind of playing Yarn Chicken, which made me knit faster. Because whenever that's happening, I'm like, I just need to know if I'm gonna have enough or not. So I finished knitting the bottom portion of the body. And then I was knitting the button bands, and I actually ran out of that yarn with 1 row left to go on one of the button bands. So one of the button bands has 1 row less than the other, but that's fine. I can live with that. It's the one that goes on the bottom if it's buttoned up, so no problem. That's just fine. And then I was like, well, crap, I still have to add the collar. So I had already knit the pockets in the blue color, and I ended up having to unravel them to be able to knit the collar. So unfortunately, my version does not have pockets. I am toying with the idea of ordering 1 more plate of the black Plotulopi to knit the pockets, because I do think it would be nice to have the pockets. So I might end up doing that, but for now, I'm considering this finished. The buttons I just had in stash. They're really pretty big, dark like shell buttons. So let me hold this up and I can show you. It is really, really large. Like it is super oversized and cozy, but like look how wide that sleeve is. It definitely feels like a jacket. Like I could wear a sweater under this and still have plenty of room. I'm really pleased with where I split for the color blocking. This line kind of hits right at my natural waist, which is a really nice natural demarcation. And then there, hopefully you can see the pretty buttons. These were actually gifted to me by my partner's parents, who found them when they were cleaning out his grandparents' house. So they were in somebody's stash and they were then gifted to me. So I think they're really lovely. I love this super chunky, squishy, double folded collar. I will say the sleeves are pretty long on me. Like when my arms are straight down, they cover my thumb. Like they kind of come to like here, or honestly, maybe even like here. Like it almost covers my entire hand. So we'll see how I get on with wearing that. It's kind of nice and like snuggly for winter, but if I find that to be annoying, excuse me, I might end up taking the sleeves back a little bit. And honestly, I think I could probably stand to take like 2 inches off and reknit the cuff. So we will see how I end up wearing it. But yeah, really happy to have this done. Obviously it's not quite the season to wear it, but it was a really big project that was kind of lingering. One thing I will say is this nudisten that I had is much softer than the Plotulopi. So I'm actually really glad that I was able to do the collar and everything in the top portion that's going to be around my neck in the softer yarn. The Plotulopi is really lovely. I enjoyed working with it, but it is definitely scratchier than this Nutiden. So just something to note. I don't know that I would enjoy wearing this as much if everything up here was also knit in the Plotulopi. It would probably have to be more of like a true outerwear piece if that was the case, whereas with the Nutiden, I feel like it can be like a snuggly at home kind of, I just want to be warm, throw it on kind of sweater. So this I also knit size, I think 4 in this one. And I did want to say I purchased the Plotulopi from the Woolly Thistle, and I am an affiliate with them. So if you are ever interested in purchasing from Woolly Thistle and you would love to help me out a little bit, please feel free to use my link. Sorry about the dinging. That is in the description box below. I'm gonna have so many things to link today, but it doesn't cost you anything extra, but I get a little bit of commission from your purchase if you use my link. So that is always there if you are ever interested. And that is all I have for finished objects. So shall we move on to works in progress? Okay, I have 2, 4, 5, 6 finished objects or works in progress to share with you today. I have a couple pair of socks, so let's start with those. The first are the Surf Wax socks. This is a pattern from Summer Lee's book, The Sock Project. I'm kind of knitting my way through the book. And these are really cute. They have like a really interesting chevron texture that I'll show you in a second, but just to show you the yarns, the main color I'm using is this really pretty kind of berry color, which is by Northern Bee Studio. It is their yak sock base, so it's 20% yak, 10% nylon, 70% superwash merino, and the color is called the Madam's Velvet Couch. And then as a contrast color, I'm using this La Bien-Aimée scrap. I cannot remember the color, but it's their twist sock base. And it's just a really pretty, like deep, very dark teal color. And I think these also would qualify for the Scrappy sock along. So I'm working away on these. And I would say I've made really good progress on the first one. So you can see that really cool chevron knit and purl texture. There's also some slip stitches. That contrast color in the pattern is just on the cuff, but I think I will add it on the toe as well. It has a heel flap and gusset, and now I am working on the foot where that stitch pattern is now just on the top of the foot. So I do find these ones a little bit slower to work on. The yak sock is a very thin fingering weight, so they don't work up quite as quickly. I have now been able to memorize the chevron pattern, so that's helped it go a little bit more quickly, but yeah, I'm excited to get back to these. The leg's also quite long. I'm knitting these for a friend as a gift, and I think he prefers a taller sock. So I think he's gonna love these. They're just a little bit slower going. So still working away on them and think they're looking really great. All right, next, I acquired this bag. I was visiting that friend in Pittsburgh, and there's a really nice little yarn store right in the area where they live called Oakmont Fiber Collective. And I popped in there and I picked up this bag. It is one of the Delaque O Snap bags, but this is kind of like a sock size project bag. I hadn't seen these from them before. Really, really cute. I love this as a sock project bag. So it has this handle. It also has like little handles if you wanted to carry it this way. Snaps open, and then inside it has all kinds of pockets. So there's a zipper pocket on this side here, as well as 2 open pockets and little pockets on the side as well. And what I have in here is another sample for one of my upcoming classes. So after Sock Knitting 101, we're gonna do Sock Knitting 102, which is a fingering weight sock toe up using magic loop. So the first one is top down, DK, heel flap and gusset, DPNs. And then Sock Knitting 102 is toe up, fingering weight, afterthought heel magic loop. So a totally different set of techniques, which I think is so interesting that there's so many different ways to knit socks that you can have these two totally separate experiences and still learn completely new techniques. So the yarn I'm using is a sock set from Sweet Georgia, and this colorway is called Teleco. So this is their Tough Love sock. Okay, so the main color is called Afternoon Nap and the mini is called Apple Pie, which is very cute. So here's the main color. It's just this gorgeous light aqua color with speckles of like a rusty pink and purple and blue. It's really, really pretty. And then the mini is this really pretty golden browny orange kind of color. And I've just really started these. So this class is not going to be offered until November. Oh my God, I kicked the camera. I apologize. It feels like it's been a minute since I've done this. I feel like I'm out of practice. This class isn't going to be offered until November, so I have a while to get the sample finished, but I did go ahead and start it. So I cast on using the Turkish cast on method, knit the toe in that contrast color, and now I'm just knitting the foot, and I think it's knitting up really nicely. This yarn's super lovely to work with. And yeah, not too much to show, but I will be working on those in the background. I do have several other socks on the go, but they just haven't been getting as much attention lately. So I'm hoping to get back to those as well. All right, and next I have my final class samples. So in addition to teaching the sock classes, I'm also going to be teaching colorwork knitting, like an entry-level stranded colorwork class. And this one is really exciting. So we're going to be using the basic doodle cowl pattern by Jamie Lomax, which comes with a set of the basic doodles. And then the shop is going to be carrying some of the other doodle decks, which is a new product for them, which is really exciting. So let me show you where I'm at with my sample. Oh, very fun. Kind of out of the box for me color palette wise. I tried to choose something that would like appeal to a lot of people and maybe would, you know, be something that wouldn't necessarily be my first choice, but let me tell you about the yarn. So I think it's pronounced sheepius, but I'm not sure. It is their scrumptious base, which is made with recycled plastic bottles. Excuse me. So it's 50% recycled polyester and 50%, is that right? Am I telling you the wrong thing? 50% recycled polyester and 50% acrylic. So this is a DK weight. So I'm using this color, which are the colors on here. Yes, this one is called Blackberry Honey Gelato, which is lovely. This was the one that really caught my eye. I am using a darker purple. This one is called Huckleberry Pie. And then 2 shades of like a golden yellow, which are kind of different for me. I don't know if I'm going to be able to see the colorway out on this one because I've covered it up. And the lighter, almost grello greenish yellow is called Citrus Rice Pudding. So they all have really great like food kind of names. And the reason I chose this yarn is because I wanted people to be able to use as many colors as they wanted in this project and for it to still be an accessible price point for them. And this yarn retails for $4.20 a ball. So I think, you know, it would have been really easy to go pick out like beautiful skeins of merino wool that were $30 a ball, but that gets really expensive really quickly, especially for someone's first colorwork project. So I have to say these have been really nice to use. They don't have quite as much bounce as a wool yarn does. And obviously there are pros and cons to using like acrylics versus wool yarns. I'm not here to litigate that today, but for the class, people pay for the class and then they also pay for their materials. So I didn't want that to become burdensome. So I think considering that the yarn for this in total cost less than $20, I think that is really nice. And I think it is really impactful and looks good in colorwork. I'm really pleased with how it's working up. So I used the lighter purple for the twisted rib. And then I'm just working the colorwork motifs, kind of alternating colors so I can really get them all in the mix. So the class will cover, you know, how to pick your motifs and put your design together, what size to pick, all of that, and then it will cover how to knit stranded colorwork. So I'll be teaching the two-handed stranded colorwork method, but I am prepared to help people that aren't comfortable doing two-handed and want to just use their right hand to throw or their left hand continental, whatever people want to do. But the main thing I'll be teaching is the two-handed technique. So yeah, I think it's looking really good. I think I'm about halfway through the color work, so I'm really enjoying how it's working up. I think the colors look great, very autumnal. This class is going to be in September, I believe, so I will keep you posted, but right now I'm just really enjoying knitting this up, and I'll just carry on. The yarn, you know, some acrylic yarns can be very squeaky. This one is pretty nice to work with. It's definitely not the same as working with wool, but I think for what it is, it's really great and enjoyable yarn at a really great and approachable price point. So I would recommend it if you're looking for a cheaper yarn to use for baby knits or whatever, something like this. It's like your first time. Anyway, I'm blabbering on. Speaking of baby knits, my next whip is a baby knit. So a coworker of mine recently had her first kid, and I am really excited to knit a couple of things for her. And the first thing I cast on is the Hold Your Baby set by Petite Knit, which I can put a picture of that in here. It's so cute. It's like this little striped color blocked sweater and a little pair of pants. So I think the design uses like 5 or 6 colors. I'm only using 3. And I am using, let's see if I have a ball band. I am using Cascade Superwash 220 fingering, which is 100% superwash merino. And I am using, I don't know if I have the colorways. Okay, I am using navy blue, which this will be the color for the pants and then some of the accents on the sweater. This colorway is number 33. All right, then I am using this really pretty kind of periwinkle light blue. That colorway is number 32. And then lastly, I am using this kind of sandy beigey color, which is colorway 127. So let me show you where I'm at. I started with the top first. Here it is. It's so cute. So as you can see, I'm using the periwinkle and the sandy color for the stripes. And then I think the neckband and the ribbing at the bottom will be in the periwinkle and the sleeves will be in the navy. I only have a couple more stripes to go on the body until it's ready for the ribbing. So again, this is fingering weight, but it also knits up pretty quickly. The stripes are really addictive. They're just little 4x4 stripes and you kind of carry the yarn up the side. So yeah, this has been super fun. Not too much to report yet, but I'm really enjoying this. When I want something that's just really easy on my hands, maybe I don't want to work on a sock, this one is really nice to just be able to pick it up and add like a stripe here or there. So I'm really enjoying that one. Okay, next I have another woolly project that I've put some time in on. So this is my Midland cardigan, and I've been working on this for a while. I'm very ready to finish it and have it done. I'm hoping to have it finished by the next podcast. So in the next month, I'd really love to have this one finished. And I am just loving how it's working out. So let me show you where I'm at. This design is by Laura Penrose, if I did not say that. It is knit side to side, so you cast on here, work your way across, and then you pick up the sleeves and knit them down. I'm loving this pattern. It's so fun to knit. Actually, I guess I can just try it on for you. Okay, so here's where we're at. What have I done since the last time you saw this? So I had gone ahead and knit the button band and, or sorry, not the button band, the bottom hem. So you pick up stitches and knit the ribbing. There originally was about 3/4 of an inch longer than this, and I had cast off with a regular bind off, but I decided that I really wanted the tubular sewn bind off, the Italian sewn bind off here. So I unpicked the bind off. I also wanted to take some length out. So I ripped back to this length, and then I did the tubular bind off. I think it looks much better. I really like it. It was such a pain. This yarn is Sonder yarn, Sunday Morning DK. It is 75% BFL, 25% Masham, and the color is Rom-Com. And this yarn, it just was kind of hard to rip it out. I found it a bit of a struggle, but we got it done, so that took a while. Then I went ahead and knit the first sleeve. So I decided to knit the sleeves in the round as the pattern suggests. I was thinking about knitting them flat, but I'm glad I went ahead and just knit it in the round. It's not that much sleeve. It really didn't take that long to knit, even when you're alternating knit and purl. As you can see, the pickup is super clean. There's a really specific method for picking up so that you don't get a ridge or anything. Like the garter just continues pretty seamlessly. And then this slip stitch detail also continues nicely down the arm. My sleeve right now is hitting just about at my wrist, but I do expect that to grow pretty significantly. I did shorten the cuff a little bit to the pattern requirements, and I did the tubular bind off. I do feel like I messed it up, and I'm probably gonna redo it. I don't know if this will show up on camera, but there's these big like loops around the inside. So I think I messed something up. I might redo that. I might not. We'll see what happens. But yeah, loving it. So it just needs a second sleeve. It actually looks very cute with this top underneath. It needs the second sleeve and then the double knit button band, which I'm a little bit scared of, if I'm being honest, because I've never done one. I've never let that stop me before. I will tackle it, and I'm sure it won't be that bad, but I've never done one before, so I think that's why I'm just saving it for last. But I did get some really beautiful buttons that I'm excited to use for this. So I purchased these from the Wandering Flock, but the buttons are by Casa de Opio, and they are gorgeous resin buttons with rose petals pressed in them. And I just think those are gonna be really, really pretty on this cardigan. So I actually only need 3, I think, for this cardigan, because I did significantly crop the length of this. My partner and I are getting married next fall, and I recently found my dress that I'm gonna be ordering. And when they were measuring me for it, they were like, wow, you do have a short torso. Because I had, the whole time I was like, I have a really short torso. And I was like, just out of curiosity, how much shorter is it than like the average? And they told me a typical average torso length is around 15 inches and mine is only 12 inches. So I kind of have as a benchmark now that if something is supposed to be like a certain length, I probably am gonna want it to be like 3 inches shorter, which is about the case with this cardigan. I removed about 3 inches of length, which with this design was a little bit tricky because, as I said, it's knit sideways. So you have to know right at the beginning when you're casting on how many stitches you need to remove in the length and then proceed accordingly. So it's not a matter of like knitting to here and then trying it on. You have to kind of do the math to figure out how much shorter you want it to be right at the very beginning. But I do think the length turned out like perfect. So I can't wait to finish this and have it in my wardrobe. As I said, I'm hoping to have it done by the next podcast episode. So yay, really excited. That is it. Oh, I'm lying, I have one more. I almost forgot. I have picked back up what was a pretty impulse cast on last month, I believe. I wanted to knit something from this book, 52 Weeks of Scrap Yarn by Lina, because they are hosting a knit along. And I decided to knit the Modka Sweater by Megumi Shinagawa, and that is this design. So I had a lot of fun digging around in my stash, finding yarns to use for this. And I did put some work into it in the past couple of weeks. So I'm knitting size 5, which should be a 55-inch finished bust. So my vision for this is just that it's gonna be like a very big, cozy, oversized home sweater. I think it's gonna look pretty crazy, but it's so fun to knit with all those different sections. So here's where I'm at. I'm not gonna pull all of the colors out right now just because there are so many and they're a bit of a mess, but they are all living in this amazing scrappy bag that my friend Nicole made for me. And Nicole also made all the scrappy bags for the giveaway for the socks make along. So this is a big version that she made for me. It's all made using upcycled materials. It's really gorgeous and it's perfect for this project because it holds a ton of yarn. So yeah, I have gotten a good start on this. So the neckline is really interesting. It's 2x2 rib, but it has this really interesting kind of like notch cut out in the front. And the edges of that are actually finished with little 1x1 cables. So they just kind of rotate to the back really nicely. Then there is a mosaic knitting section. So I have 2 shades of purple and the white in that section. And then we get this cool kind of slip slash dip stitch section in the cream. And I'm starting the next section now, which is also mosaic, but now we're introducing some new colors. So we're done with the cream. I don't know if you can see it, but this kind of light gray BFL, that's the next like background color. And then I'm just introducing this pink and a couple other colors that will be in this section. So yeah, really fun project. Like every couple of inches you're doing something different and changing colors, which keeps it really interesting. It's a really large needle size, a pretty open gauge. So I really haven't worked on it that long and it's knitting up pretty quickly. So yeah, this one's really fun. I just, whenever I get a minute to work on it, I'm really enjoying it. So that is also going on in the background. Okay, let us move on to some plans, some acquisitions, and some chat. Okay, so I've got a few plans for upcoming projects that I wanted to share with you. The first one is living in this really fun market bag. It looks crazy, but I host a craft night 3 times a month at Gamoot Beer Garden here in Columbus. And 2 of those sessions are open craft nights, so you bring whatever you want. We just hang out and do crafts together. So I'm usually just knitting, but people do all sorts of things. It's really fun. And then once a month, the bar kind of hosts a specific craft that everyone does together. And this month we did these stamped market bags using like fruits and vegetables. So you can see the petals of the flowers are like strawberries and the center was a corn cob, and we've got like a lemon and okra. So that was super fun. It turned out totally crazy, but I really love it. And in here I have my 20 yarns for the D20 socks, the ones I finished for Troy. And next I'm going to do a DK weight pair of socks using all the same colors and the same technique. So what that creates is just a really cool like marled striped fabric. So those are coming up next and I will probably be casting those on any day now. What should I do next? Okay, so I'm so excited about both of these next projects. The first one is something I'll be casting on as soon as I finish my doodle cowl. This is going to be a pressed flower shawl. So I have had this yarn in my stash for a while now, like years. And I initially bought it with the intention of making a pressed flowers cardigan, and I cast that on and I kind of just lost steam on it. And I don't really know why. I love the pattern. I'd still love to knit it someday, but I just kind of lost steam and I ended up unraveling it, but I still really want to use these yarns together. So I decided to make the pressed flowers shawl instead. And I've just kind of been craving another shawl. I don't know what it is. I don't wear my shawls that often, but I love knitting them. Like, they're so fun. So the main color is going to be this, which is Kelborn Woolen's Cricket Base. It's 100% merino wool. It is fingering weight and it is tweedy. So hopefully you can see it has all those fun little colorful flecks in it. The yarn is a little bit thick and thin, and I will be holding this double for the shawl. And then the contrast color is Spin Cycle dyed in the wool. This color is Wallflower. So this is 100% American superwash wool, 200 yards. So they call it a sport weight, but I feel like it's more of a fingering weight, to be honest. And it's just this really pretty shades of light pink and purple. And this I will also hold double. So those are going to become a pressed flower shawl. I think this is going to be really fun to knit, and I'm really excited to cast this on, but I'm trying to rein in the reckless cast-ons, and I'm gonna wait until I finish my cowl to cast this one on. And the next one I'm really excited about is much more of an impulse cast on. So a couple people have knit this pattern lately. It is the Hiesu, or I believe it's Hiesu, by Vera Valimaki. I'll put a picture here. So I first saw Tracy on the Grocery Girls knit this recently, and it's not a pattern that I ever would have like naturally gravitated toward, I don't think. Like, I feel like I tend to pick patterns that have some kind of like striking detail. And this one is very subtle, but Tracy's version, she knit in a bright red and it's really beautiful. I also love the shape of it with slightly like dropped t-shirt sleeve, short sleeve, and I really liked her version. And then my friend Jess told me she was almost done knitting one and had finished it in like 3 weeks and was loving it. And I think she has since finished her version. So I was like, okay, I clearly need to knit one of these. So I went looking in my stash, and of course the yarn I want to use is like the craziest yarn I own, but I'm so excited about it. So the yarn I'm going to use for this is this. This color is out of control. It is so vibrant. I love it. This is from Dye Mad Yarns, which is a local dyer. They have their own shop where they carry all of their own hand-dyed yarns. And this is their Jenny worsted base. So it is 80% superwash merino and 20% alpaca. It has a really lovely twist. The yarn is really beautiful. It's so nice to work with. This color is called Fire Pink, and it definitely is that. And this was part of a Ohio wildflowers collection that they're doing this summer. So this is inspired by a native wildflower that we have here. And I just think it's so fun. It is very bright and obnoxious, but I love it. So I went ahead and knit up a swatch. Here is the swatch. So I will say a lot of the texture of this knit is a little bit lost in the color, in this crazy color, but I think it does still add some like depth and dimension, especially from like an angle. It has a little bit of a knit and purl texture, so I do think I will still knit the texture, even though it's a little bit overwhelmed by the color. Excuse me. However, I did knit this on the recommended needle size, which I believe is a US 8, so it's a 5mm, and the gauge is big. So I'm gonna re-swatch on both a 4.5mm and a 4mm. I think Jess said she had to go down to a 4mm to achieve gauge. So I'm going to do a second swatch. I'll just unravel this one and reuse the yarn to achieve gauge. But yeah, I'm really excited. I think it's going to be very fun. I think it'll be cute in that kind of short sleeved style. Now the pattern calls for a cotton wool blend, and this is definitely not that. This is wool and alpaca, so it's going to be toasty, and it's maybe not ideal to use a warmer yarn like this in a shorter sleeve style. However, I only have 4 skeins of this, so I have just enough to knit this. And I think it could be a really great like comfy top to wear around the house, because also the color is so intense. I don't see it being something that I'm going to be like wearing out of the house all the time. I mean, look how it's blowing out on the screen. It's pretty bright and neon. So I think it'll be okay. I think it's just going to be something really cozy for me to wear, and love the color for myself, even if everyone thinks it's crazy. But yeah, so I'm really itching to cast this on, but I want to make sure that I can get the gauge correct. So I am going to knit a second gauge swatch for that. All right, I think that is it for plans. So then I had a couple of acquisitions that I wanted to share with you all. So the first one, I have both of my clubs. So the first club I'm in is the Wiggins Fiber Club, Mystery Club. Look at this. This month's is amazing. It's definitely one of my favorites we've had so far. This one is 40% Corriedale, 40% BFL, and 20% Tussa Silk. And the color is Tricks Are for Kids, which is very funny, but it's just that gorgeous periwinkle with hits of lime green and pink and teal. I really, really love this one. I'm excited to spin this up soon. My other club, let's just do the clubs. Let's see. Okay, so my second club that I'm in this year is the Wandering Flocks Sock Club. This is a quarterly subscription, so it's delivered 4 times a year. And this month we got 2 50-gram skeins. So these are both really pretty. There's also a sock design that comes with this set that's really interesting. It's kind of like I can put a picture of it here. It it looks like brioche. I don't know if it is, but it's like a 2-color stitch. Really interesting. And this yarn is their, let's see, what is this base? I think it's their like baby alpaca. It's 50% extra fine merino, 30% baby alpaca, 20% nylon. And they do say that it's a sport weight. And the colors are apricot and dusty blue. And I do believe these are exclusive for the Sock Club. And this month it also came, the free gift was this very cute little, I think it's meant to help you like keep your colors separate when you're doing color work, but it's like a clear iridescent acrylic little sheepy yarn organizer guy. To be honest, I don't really know if I'll end up using this, but I do think he's very cute, so I'll find a place for him to live. And yeah, I have not made much progress on my first Wandering Flock Sock Club socks. I really need to get those finished up so I can cast these ones on. Okay, what's next? So I went, as I said, to Pittsburgh to visit my friends and went to that yarn store. And the one other thing I picked up there was a braid of fiber. So Tour de Fleece is coming up. That was the only other thing I had to really chat about today. So I'll just go ahead and incorporate that here. Tour de Fleece is running this year from July 5th to July 27th. I probably will not join like an official team or anything, but I do love to take this opportunity to try and spin every day during that time period. And I actually don't have that much fiber in my stash. So I have 2.5 like club bats that need to be spun still, but these are only 50 grams. So that really doesn't take that long. I have 2 more 4-ounce braids to spin for my night shift shawl. So I'm hoping to finish those up by the end of Tour de Fleece. And then I wanted to purchase 1 more braid just in case I got all of those finished. So I purchased this really fun braid. This is by a local dyer called Red Rat Yarn. Really loved the colors in this. It's 100% fine Polworth, non-superwash, 21 micron. So it's very soft. And my thought for this was to do a sock spin. So Andrea Mowry recently held a spin it to knit it along, where you basically break your braid in half and you spin half of it in a fractal and half of it you chain ply. So the idea is that you get kind of like a self-striping yarn that would repeat the colors, and then you get a kind of spin cycle-esque yarn where the colors are all mixed together, and then you stripe them in a sock. So at the time I didn't have any braids to use for her challenge, so I thought that could be a fun experiment to do with this if I get to it. But yeah, I just really loved the colors in this one. Okay, and then we recently had a really exciting development in Columbus. We have gotten our first craft reuse store that opened here. It is actually right next to Dymad Yarns, so if you ever get the chance to visit Columbus, I would definitely recommend checking out both of those together. They are right next to each other in storefronts, really cute. And it is owned by someone that used to work at So to Speak, so I kind of knew her. I've really enjoyed like seeing her process. I've donated some things to the shop, so I got a chance to go check it out after the opening this weekend, and I did pick up a couple of things there. So the first thing I grabbed was this skein of DK yarn. This is by Ba Yarns. It's their Sonoma base, which is 100% superwash, and the color is Smoke and Diamonds. So I think I paid $15 for this skein. But now that I'm going to be teaching this DK weight sock class, I wanted to have a few more DK weight yarns that I could use for like to knit along with students. So I thought that was a really great one. It's really pretty. And the other thing I got there is a little crazy, but these just caught my eye and I had to have them. So I bought these slub skeins. I got these 2. These are by Ken Yarn, who I don't believe dyes anymore, but this was their Haze Slub base. So it's a fingering weight slub yarn, which is really fun. It's 90% superwash merino, 10% nylon. And as I said, it is fingering weight. It's 438 yards for 100 grams. And the color is Telekinesis. So I got each of these for $5, which I thought was a really good deal. And my thought is that they would be really fun as a contrast color in a yoke, or on their own in like a tank top. So I was thinking about maybe using these in like the Queen's Cami by Tori Yu. I can put a picture of that here. I really like this top and how it kind of, I think you change your needle size to kind of change the gauge. So as it goes down to the hem, it's a little bit more floaty. I think that these could be really fun in something like that. So yeah, I don't know. They're kind of crazy, but really, really fun. And for $5, I couldn't pass them up. So yeah, they had a really great selection in there. Definitely check it out if you're in the area. And lastly, this one was definitely a bit of an unexpected splurge. As I said, my partner and I are getting married next fall, and we're starting to kind of plan our honeymoon, and we're gonna be going to Japan for a couple of weeks. And I started planning, and I just got like really excited about this trip. And obviously it's so far away still, but I just got it in my head that I had to have something knit in Noro to take to Japan with me. So I scoured the internet for this yarn that is really hard to find in the neutral colors, and that is Noro Madara. So this is the colorway 03 Yen. I think the really popular colorway is 01 Sake. That's what a lot of the pattern designers have used. But I really think this darker gray it's like bordering on blue is probably the better shade for me. The Sake is more of a lighter gray. So I did purchase a cardigan quantity of this, and I am planning to knit the newly released Lakes cardigan by Osetta. I'll put a picture of that here. And I did buy the accompanying yarn that she recommended in that color. So this is Issachar Alpaca 1. It is their eco line, so it's undyed. And the color is E3S. I think it had an actual name on the site, but it's this light gray lace weight alpaca, and I will be holding those together as the pattern suggests. So yes, I am. It's taking everything in my being to not cast this on right now. But my thought is that I might cast it on this year on Troy and I's anniversary as like a little nod to what it's for. Finish it sometime in the year after that, and then have it to take with us on our trip. We will probably be going when it's a little bit colder. It'll be after October at some point. So I think something like this would be really nice to have with me. I wish I could cast it on now, but I'm trying to show some restraint. So I think this is going to be a long episode today. That is really all I had. I talked about the knit along. It's really a make along. A crochet is also welcome. If you want to crochet some scrappy socks, more than welcome. But please let me know if you have any questions about that. As I said, I'll link everything in the description box below, but if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in a comment. And if you're participating, I'd love to hear how it's going, what pattern you're working on. As I said, I'm going to be teaching it, so to speak, so really excited about that. If you're local, definitely feel free to check out the classes. They have all kinds of amazing sewing, quilting, printing, everything. They teach all kinds of awesome classes, and Tour de Fleece is coming up. So let me know if you're participating in that. I'd love to hear what your plans are. This was a jam-packed episode today, so thank you so much for hanging in there. If you made it this far, if you like the videos, please feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel. It really helps us to grow this little community, and I appreciate you being here, so thank you. Until next time, I hope you get lots of crafting time in, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.